Good morning, I am Amber Lane for Lowe's Logic News. It's Wednesday, October 25th. Vienna, October 25th. Reuters, racism towards black people is growing in Europe, with Germany, Austria and Finland showing the highest rates of discrimination and harassment. A survey of first and second generation black immigrants in 13 EU countries published on Wednesday found. The European Union Agency for Fundamental Rights, FRA, which commissioned the survey and analyzed its findings in a report, said that in the space of 6 years since the previous study, the proportion of respondents who had felt racially discriminated against in the past 12 months had risen by 10 percentage points to 34%. In Austria and Germany, the proportion was 64%, almost twice the previous level of 33% in Germany and a significant increase from the 42% recorded in Austria 6 years earlier. The next worst was Finland with 54%. It is shocking to see no improvement since our last survey, FRA Director Michael O'Flaherty said. Instead, people of African descent face ever more discrimination just because of the color of their skin. What else is happening in the world, Cecilia?
Thanks, Amber. I am Cecilia Sinclair and in World News. Bangui, Central African Republic. Since the mercenaries of Russia's notorious Wagner Group first arrived here 5 years ago, they have embedded themselves in the security operations and economy of this impoverished but resource-rich country. While operating largely independently of Moscow, the group helped project Russian influence deep into Africa. Now, after the death of Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin last month in a suspicious plane crash, officials in the Central African Republic say the Russian government is moving to take direct control over the more than 1,000 mercenaries here. There's plenty of blame to go around in the wake of an apocalyptic disaster in eastern Libya. Torrential rains brought by a major Mediterranean storm led to the failure of a series of dams near the coastal city of Derna. The sudden, overwhelming flooding that followed washed whole neighborhoods into the sea, leading to perhaps as many as 20,000 deaths, with thousands still missing in what Libyans are describing as their war-torn nation's 9/11. Days later, areas of the city remain underwater. Thousands of bodies are decomposing in the muddied streets, raising fears over the spread of disease. Tens of thousands of residents have been displaced by the catastrophic floods. I don't think I can ever go back, a survivor in Derna told the BBC. Those streets were my whole life. We knew every corner of the city. Now it's gone. The wrath of the heavens, local Libyans contend, was matched by the incompetence of those calling the shots on the ground. Oil-rich Libya, beset by crises for more than a decade since a pro-democracy uprising precipitated the violent overthrow and killing of long-ruling dictator Muammar Gaddafi, is divided between two parallel, weak governments in the country's west, based in the capital Tripoli, and east. The volatility of recent years meant the country's separate regimes and their feckless officials have left critical infrastructure in a state of neglect. And now in business.
Thanks, Cecilia. Ryan Reynolds here. Washington, October 23. Reuters, Lockheed Martin Corp., LMT.N., has withdrawn from the U.S. Air Force's competition to build at least 75 refueling tankers, the company said, giving Boeing's BA.N. KC-46 Pegasus a boost in the closely watched multi-billion-dollar defense contract. Airbus, AIR.PA, teamed up with Lockheed as the prime contractor in 2018 to offer its A330 multi-role tanker transport. Now the European aerospace company will continue to pursue the competition, but without Lockheed, Airbus said late Monday. Lockheed's pullback gives Boeing a boost, greatly increasing the chance it will win the program despite years of costly mistakes with the existing fleet of KC-46 tankers. Based on current prices, the total order could equal around $12 billion, but is likely to be higher. The KC-46, however, has been plagued by defects, including problems with an onboard video system and a refueling boom that fails to connect the tanker to aircraft seeking refueling. These errors have cost Boeing $7 billion in losses.
25 October. Thanks, Ryan. I am Misty Merkel and in Crime News. The teachers and toddlers from the DC Daycare Center were on a break during their Monday afternoon stroll through Bloomingdale neighborhood's historic district when Malini Iteviner Diaz Villalba noticed a disheveled man talking to a colleague. He was standing uncomfortably close, the 20-year-old assistant teacher recalled, and the kids looked scared. She said she yelled at the man, who then turned and walked toward her, despite her threats to call police. "Call them, they won't do anything," the man replied, according to Diaz Villalba. By this time, she said, 2 frightened children were pressed against her legs. Then, as 24 toddlers and 8 other daycare workers watched, Diaz Villalba said, "He just started beating me up. The kids were screaming, telling the man to let me go." Diaz Villalba said she suffered a bloody nose and spent Monday night in a hospital. Police said Dunkley, whom they described as unhoused and a fixture in the neighborhood, exposed himself to the workers and children and committed another lewd act before he ran away. Dillian Howe, S Health.
26th October 2023. I am Dylan Durbin, and in World and National Health News. Researchers examined the health data of 7,146 individuals, age 50 and older in England, and found that older adults who sleep 5 or fewer hours a night either because of a genetic predisposition or other reasons, were more likely to show signs of depression years later. The researchers followed the study participants for an average of 8 years. Compared with people who sleep 7 hours a night, older adults who reported 5 or fewer hours on average were 2.5 times more likely to develop symptoms of depression later in life. Those who were genetically predisposed to short sleep were 14% more likely to develop symptoms of depression years later in life. Too much sleep was a problem, too. Older adults who reported sleeping more than 9 hours were 1.5 times more likely to develop symptoms of depression later in life, as compared with those who slept an average of 7 hours. Depression also was more likely to lead to worse sleep. People with symptoms of depression were approximately 33% more likely to sleep for 5 or fewer hours.
October 25th. Thanks Dylan, I am Tyler Turnbull with sports and weather. Philadelphia, Corbin Carroll, the only member of the Arizona Diamondbacks not yet soaked in champagne and beer, peeked through the fold of plastic covering the visitors' clubhouse at Citizens Bank Park. He nursed a Gatorade cup of something that looked like hot chocolate as he watched members of the unlikely National League champions drenching one another in the boozy glory of proving everyone wrong, chanting, Mad Dog, at the radio host who said he would resign if they somehow managed to beat the mighty Philadelphia Phillies. Then he turned away. It was clear as he eventually changed into a NL champion t-shirt, whizzed through his obligatory champagne shower and grimaced through reporters' endless questions, was not Carroll's scene. But this is a scene the rookie sensation helped create after he produced 3 hits, 2 stolen bases, 2 runs and 2 RBI in the Diamondbacks 4-2 Game 7 upset of the Phillies on Tuesday night. Brazilian star Neymar suffered a torn ACL and meniscus in his left knee Tuesday, the country's soccer confederation announced Wednesday. Return stronger, Neymar's club team, Al Hilal of the Saudi Pro League, wrote Wednesday in a social media post. Confirming the severe nature of his injuries, Al Hilal said Neymar will undergo surgery and then a treatment program that will be determined later. That is all for today. Please like, share, subscribe and catch our podcast on Google Podcast, Samsung, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify and others. This has been Lowe's Logic.